Okay guys, yesterday we worked on this tutorial, and so I just wanted to give you a chance to finish it off. And so once you've got your papers ready to go, taped down, you can alternate back and forth between the one that we are doing as a demo and your own piece. That way they have a chance to dry in between. So back to our mountains. So with a bright brush, and this one's important that we are working with a bright brush, which is the flat one, remember? So we're going to, I'm gonna grab my paint set up here. I'm gonna work with a blue-green since we're doing evergreen trees, pine trees. And so you have a blue-green in your palette. If not, mix blue and green. But these are really blue-green. So I think I'm gonna come at it with a little bit of blue just to darken it up. So a lot of pigment, really wet on my brush, and I want to make sure that my bristles are flat. So I'm kind of raking it on this to make sure that they are nice and in line and flat, because holding the brush straight up and down, I'm going to create these lines. I need more color. Create these lines that kind of go up. So the brush is standing on its end, and then I'm tapping into it like that. Let's see if I can, how can I show you this? And then just zigzagging, staggering it back and forth. I'm gonna go pick up some more paint across and then tapping back and forth. So a lot of tapping on this one. And then as you get lower, it gets more and more loose. I can come in with some water, clean brush. I can do ones that seem like they're farther away by having them be real faint, so not much pigment, more water. Like it's hard to even see that one. When it dries, it will show up better. When watercolor dries, it seems to get a little bit darker. So I'm kind of coming in with some of that. You're like, I don't see anything. It's there. I promise. Ooh, there's some color. Just tapping. Come in with some water. Kind of blend that out. It's kind of pooling right here. Come in, dab a little out. Let that dry a moment. All right, while that's drying, you can work on your second piece if you want to work on this leaf some more. Let's do it. So my bottom one is dry, well, mostly. And so I'm going to come in again with my bright brush so that, or if you have an angled one, that'd be good too, so I can get into those corners really well. I'm going to put down some water to create some boundaries for this leaf. This one, I just went back here. I really like how the colors came out with that red violet. I mean, who would have thought that red violet and orange and purple and green would look pretty on this leaf, but I kind of like it. All right, just getting some water down. This will be the true test if my back leaf in the background is dry, because this water will bleed into it if it's not. All right. Oh, let's start with some turquoise on this one. That's kind of fun. Get some of that up here in the corner. Come in with some red orange. Looking a little patriotic here. I don't know what I think about this color combo. Come in with some red instead of the red orange. Still not loving it. How about some green? Let's combine them with a little bit of yellow. That'll do. I'll tap it in a few other places just to kind of mix and stuff. I'm gonna switch to a smaller brush, one of my little liner ones, because I want the smaller end to create some veins. So remember, when you're doing this, it is damaging the paper, but it's intentional. I'm wanting it to in this case. Creating these ruts for the paint to run down into, to create the darker lines for my veins. I'm gonna let that dry a moment. All right, back over here to my trees. Back to the bright brush. I'm gonna do a bit more green than blue this time. So I still have my blue-green, gonna come in with some dark green, and I might even pull in a little bit of black. I don't usually like working with black very much. In art, there's a thing called, a color called Payne's Gray. You'll see that one a lot more often because it's a nice way of darkening a color without making it, without changing it as much. But this is a really pretty green that I've got going on here. All right, so same thing. And I'm gonna go taller than my line before. So tall one, tap it. More paint. And they can be close together, they can be spread out, they can run into one another. I mean, because it's like a forest, you know, they didn't plant these like an orchard where they have a specific path and pattern to these trees. Now I'm getting lower where I'm not going over the tree line. I still could, I just don't want to. Come in with just some water, soften this up a little bit. I'm gonna tap in another color. How about some orange? Don't be afraid to mix different colors in watercolor. Like I said, other paints don't do this as well. This is one of the things that makes watercolor unique and good at what it does, is the blending of different colors. It keeps it interesting. So go for it, use it. You know, come in with maybe some purple, maybe, ooh, there's some of that red violet. I like it. Come in with a brighter green over here. Traditionally, in something called atmospheric perspective though, things are lighter the farther away they are. So if you were doing just a field, the lighter green would be farther away. As things get closer, they get darker. They seem like they get darker. There's less atmosphere in between it and you, so less haziness. So that's what creates the illusion of things being lighter the farther they go. So if you're painting something in the distance, this mountain range would typically be lighter than one that's closer because it's the atmospheric perspective that makes it seem like it's farther away. All right, so that's doing its thing. I'm coming back over to my leaves. And just a last chance to tap in any colors. I really liked how that red violet came in, so I'm gonna, ooh, I forgot to get it wet. I'm gonna come in with just a wet brush. Put some water down in places. And then let some of this color bloom. I think it's fun, this red violet with this bright green. I am a fan. Come in with some of this turquoise. Let's see what we can do here. Definitely more fun than brown leaves. Wouldn't it be awesome if our leaves in the world were actually really like this? I think that'd be cool. That would make fall an amazing season. I don't know, just kind of fun like that. So whatever you think. When it's totally dry, you know, you can come at it with a paint pen or a Sharpie and go over your lines if you want to. Here's, you know, what I did with my other one. See, there's the difference between traditional boring leaves, bright, colorful, fun leaves. I definitely like the bright, fun colored better. I could still get this wet again and tap in some new color. I might do that to kind of save that. But let this fully dry, and then you can outline it with a paint pen, with a Sharpie, with a marker, anything fun like that. It just does need to be dry. And then that card is done. This one, again, you can keep adding trees and stuff as much as you want, because the further in the background they are, the hazier and softer they are, the closer they are to you, the more distinct and the more defined they are. So the more well-defined. Ooh, time warp. JJ, this is your class. That's singing it. Because this is 4th hour for me that I'm taping this. All right, I was mixing some colors and listening to the time warp. All right, still just kind of tapping in. I love these kind of trees because you can't really screw them up. They, you know, are straight and they just have the branches that kind of go out to the sides. Sometimes they sweep down, sometimes they go up. So, you know, like a cedar would sweep up. Let me add a little bit more green and black for more of a cedar kind of look. If I was doing that, then they're going to be more like this kind of, you know, it's kind of hard to see it because it's wet. My background's wet. I didn't give a chance to let it dry. But so cedars will do something like that. Whereas you get the ones that are more Christmassy, the spruces. So let me get a little more blue going on in here. And they would be, you know, still tap it in a little bit like this, but then you can make their branches kind of swoop down. And so that's the kind of difference in some of the different little pine trees. So versus, you know, the regular just old rugged pines, cedars and spruces. So anyway, there's some of your techniques. So you've done a wash, you've done a gradient from one color to another color, you've done a gradient from color to water, you know, to plain. You've tapped in some things, you've bloomed. We did the salt. Mine, it's kind of difficult to see, but if you get close, you can kind of see it. I can't focus on it, but trust me, it's there. Anyway, one last thing, peeling tape off. One of the most satisfying things at the end of a watercolor, but there is a method to it that will help keep you from ruining your painting. So if you will get an edge and then come at a 45 to a 90 degree angle. So see how I'm not just lifting straight up? I've got the tape flat on the table and just peeling like this. And I mean, my finger's against the table and I'm peeling down. Now it is obviously lifting off some of the paper, but it's not bad. So if you peel off your tape this way, it leaves a beautifully clean edge, won't tear your paper most of the time. Let me start on this side, this one's on top. Again, keep it as low and as flat as possible. And that will keep you from tearing, because it's when you just start lifting straight up that it tears. So at an angle. A lot of times you'll see Instagrams and TikToks where artists are untaping their artwork, and I don't know, there's something about it, like I said, is so satisfying. It's fun to watch. It's fun to do when it's your own art, to see how it's turning out. It's difficult one-handed though. Traditionally, most artists sign their watercolors in pencil down in the corner. And that's it. So, fun little tutorial. Like I said, covered a bunch of your different techniques that you've learned. Hopefully you like it. Hopefully you can work on your own favorite piece. And maybe you can give this to like your, I don't know, family member, friend, favorite teacher who has a birthday coming up on the week of Thanksgiving. So, all right, be good, have fun, listen to Miss Knight. See you guys later.